Stand out of the way, Dan. This is just an overview of it. We'll show it running pretty quick here. Right here we have the product that it assembles, and it's basically like a sandwich layer of 3 parts. The parts are the bottom lead, the chip, and the top lead. The way this machine assembles the fuses, it places 2 parts at a time at each station. So we have the bottom leads placed here. This is a fixture that it builds the parts in. The next station places the chips on the top of the bottom leads. And then the third basic station places the top leads on top of the chips. These fixtures are loaded into the machine with a magazine. You can see 2 of them loaded here. And we use vibratory bowls which feed the parts. We'll show them running pretty soon, but these cycle the parts up through this helix and down a linear track, and then the excess shingles off and comes back on a return track. And there's 3 of these vibratory bowl stations. Our vibratory bowls are controlled with an amplitude and a frequency controller. These are all located down below. So you can fine-tune the characteristics of the bowl feeding. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Here we're loading the load station, and we place our, I'm just placing 2 in for now. You insert the magazine and you shut the door. Okay, let's pause for a second.
Okay.
Okay, to start the machine we're using an operator station with a touch screen, and right now it's simple as push to run, which is this button. That'll start the magazine. It indexes in the magazine, the elevator comes up. Once these fixtures reach the top, it'll index those 2 fixtures in. At this point I can load another magazine. Now the elevator's going down, it'll automatically index in the next loaded magazine that's just sitting there waiting. We have a little pusher here. When the belt is in the right position, the pusher will feed in the top fixture. This mechanism keeps the fixture tight against the pins until the back pins trap the fixture. And then we're populating the fixture with the first pick and place station. Okay, here again we're placing the parts. This is the bottom lead, placing 2 at a time. After that happens, we have a little pusher that pushes on these leads to make sure they're seated against the back wall of the fixture. Next we come to this station. We're using a fiber optic set to look at those parts, and it uses reflective characteristics of the part to see if it's there. If the part's there, we go ahead. Okay, at this station, if the part is there, it'll go ahead and put drops, tiny drops of flux here. We're not running flux at this point. Okay, at this station, we're placing the lead on we're placing the chip on top of the bottom lead. They're arriving on the linear track. This pick and place will grab the chips, it rotates them 90 degrees, and places them on top of the bottom lead. We've stuck a little piece of tape on this just to indicate. You can see that it's rotating the parts as it places them. Okay, at this station, we have a little seater, we call it. It just makes sure that the chips are down on top of the bottom lead. This station looks to see if the bottom lead is placed with another set of fiber optics. After the bottom lead is checked to make sure it's there, we go ahead and dispense flux on the top of that. And again, we're not running flux at this time. Okay, now we're at the third pick and place, and we're placing the 2 top leads on top of the chip. Down here we have another pusher that pushes the leads against the wall of the fixture to make sure they're at their proper length. Then we check again to make sure that part was placed. This is a reject station. If the PLC tells it that there's a defective part, it will go ahead and reject it. I'll force a defective. Okay, right here I'll force a defective part by pushing the lead. Gotta be quick. Okay. Okay, it went ahead and took the top lead off. This is our station that just transfers from our linear strap conveyor to a transfer conveyor. This will send the parts through an oven. We're just stacking the parts out here on a blanket because we don't have the oven. But ultimately there will be a pusher station right here. The parts will land on a set of sensors to tell that the parts arrived. Then the pusher will push them into an oven conveyor to reflow the parts. That's where the parts get, the solder gets melted, is in the oven. Also, our pusher station is set up to be able to allow 2 machines feeding to the same oven. Cycle fluxer number 1, or we can index the conveyor. There's just a myriad of options we can put into this. We also have a data acquisition screen. You get to it with this button, for instance. In this screen, we've tied counters to all the different functions of the machine And this is meant for troubleshooting purposes, so that if you read these once a week and you see numbers that are extremely high from the norm, you can, like for instance, here's flux number 2. It was holding up the machine that many times, and you can go zero in on that item, and that'll tell you where your culprit is that's slowing you down. It gives you the total seconds ran and lost seconds of basically downtime. Exit that menu, exit that menu. This is our main menu. We have the flux not enabled right now, big red warning. Here's our push to run. We have a counter that tells you how many parts had passed, how many had failed, and the total number. Have a couple buttons here that you can prime the flux stations, because if the machine's been setting a while, it's nice to be able to just go hit a button and independently get those running before you start running parts. This particular machine is set up to run 2 different styles of fuses, which are basically different lengths. So we have buttons on here to set up the machine for one style of part or the other. That basically tells the PLC which part you're running. Also on our panel we have a digital air pressure gauge. It has upper and lower limits that you can set, and if the air pressure falls too low, the machine will stop and it'll beep real loud and give you a red warning. We have a stack light up here for warning what's happening. Right now we're just in the caution mode. If there's a serious error, the red light will come on. In the run mode, the green light comes on. That about takes care of the operations of this machine. Go for it.